Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mornings with Movers. We are live again. It is January. It's supposed to be a snowstorm where I'm at. I hope that it ain't everybody going through the same thing. But I'm Dwyght with Mack's Movement Training. We got Clifford Starks, the motivational coach, working out right there.
Up.
Phil Diamond, who in the back, all about Tampa Bay. And we got Ted Cotter in the building from Inside Moves. One, two, three. How are you, Ted?
I'm good. I just clicked myself off. Well, there we go. I'm doing good. I'm hitting the wrong buttons, but we're good. We're good.
All right. So, yeah, tell us about your backstory. I don't think I got to know that part about you.
Well, I kind of started out here. This was a summer job for me, working for Beacons Moving and Storage. And after the third summer, I went on regular. They were a union shop, and I worked for them for 17 years. And they were out here in LA. They were absolutely amazing. They had the one district that I worked for, and they had about 8 districts like this in LA and in a lot of the metropolitan areas. Our office here in the San Fernando Valley, which is like the north end of LA, we're like about an hour north of the LA airport.
Okay.
Had 70 trucks, had 5 warehouses, 300 to 400 employees, was a union shop. And they would actually do over 100 moves on a summer day without a computer.
Hmm.
So an amazing place to train. I'm actually in the process right now of trying to dig up more information on the owner, just because of some of the amazing things they were doing before. I mean, things that we're thinking about doing now, things that we're bringing forth now, they were already doing back then. A very good example of that was the fact that they were on Motorola radios, which is like us being on a cell phone right now, back in the 60s and 70s. You know,
You know, I was
they
gonna
actually
say,
did it. They actually did a national TV commercial in 1956.
wow.
Who's even on the TV now? I think a truck and 2 men. The only people that really have a commercial that's on the TV now. Um,
Hmm.
so I kind of worked for them for about 17 years. I had the situation where two things happened. One thing was they got rid of the union, which was kind of interesting because I was in night school reading about how Carnegie did that back in the East with the steel unions, and I blew out my knee. So I went from there to sales and learned about what a protected environment I was actually in at Beacons Moving and Storage, how good of a shop they really were. Um, I started working for I worked for a North American agent. I worked for an allied agent. I worked for a global agent, and it just even though these were bigger companies, it just seemed like the integrity of the individuals that were running the shops weren't there. Uh, had a lot of situations where it was kind of interesting. I had the first guy ended up owing me 10 grand. The next guy ended up owing me 13. And the last guy that went under ended up owing me 17 grand in back commissions.
Mm.
At that point, my taste for the sales and the moving business kind of just really went south. And Public Storage was trying to open up a thing like Pods out here in LA. And I worked for them, and I started doing little things on the side. It kind of at that point in my life, I was like 45 years old. And just it started small. It started small, a day here, a day there, a day here, a day there. I was working 5 days for Public Storage, and then somebody called me up, go, hey, I want to move. Well, okay, these are the 2 days that I have off. And it actually got to the point where sometimes I was working 5 weeks straight at a time. Okay. Um, at that point in time, I kind of went to my wife and said, hey, I want to take this full time. And she kicked and screamed and hollered and said no. Um, reason being because my wife was actually a bookkeeper and an HR person, and she didn't want to have to deal with what she'd been through for 20 years with employees and everything. But we started up 22 years ago. We're a very small shop. Um, One of the interesting things about everything is even though I was in such a big shop at Beacons Moving and Storage, I just wasn't even looking at all the money that was flying around. And boy, there was tons. You got
Mm-hmm.
you got to realize that they had 70 crews running out of one shop in a day.
Mm.
I mean, just all kinds of money. But I never, I was just kind of going in and getting my paycheck. One of the biggest things I took from them is they just had an amazing training system. And they were, what also always amazes me is the computers hadn't even gotten into the picture then. It wasn't a CRM. It was all books and it was callbacks and just, but they had gotten their SOPs so down, they knew everything. One of the other things too is when they got rid of the union, with the benefit of the union kept in individuals that are going to stay there for life. In other words, you weren't have people that were jumping from shop to shop to shop. So if you were going to, I mean, it kind of, the hiring process kind of looked like this. In the summer, they get really busy. They start looking for people. They bring people in, and then the people in the organization, like the drivers and the foremen, would identify people they wanted to work with, and then they bring them in underneath their shoulder and train them. And it was just a different, you were training somebody, and it's one of the things I've had trouble with in my organization. You were training somebody to make your job easier as well. Because if you can get an employee in and you can train them, a lot of what happens is if you've got a smaller shop, but even with the bigger shops, you have employees bucking for space on the ladder. Who wants to be best and who wants to be this and who wants to be that? Well, if you bring them in and you train them underneath their shoulder, you don't have as much of the competition. But that seems to be a big issue now. It seems, if you got, our shop is a relatively small shop. We probably have like 10 guys on the trucks, 12 maybe. But when it gets slow, everybody's got to work together rather than trying to block each other out because of the need for work.
Yeah.
And so it's a real problem. You got one guy, you got your top three guys, drivers, fighting for the work that's there.
Yeah, I think.
Realizing if you train them,
Mhm.
well, you know what, everybody's going to be able to help everybody.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was gonna say two things in there in that spill you were going over, where hey, if you ever need a private investigator, hey, you on the right show. You got Phil right here. Phil
Oh, there
got
you
you. And then as far as the battling with the heads, especially like I think Phil and I was talking the other day where you promote a guy like a driver up to like a ops manager or a dispatcher, and now the other drivers start to envy that guy, like, oh, I could do a better job.
Absolutely.
I think we all go through that point where it's just like, oh, you chose the wrong person, and they don't want to show that guy no type of respect.
See, and that too is kind of a situation where now you become too close to the employee that he's actually telling you how to run your shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you got to have. I mean, it's a rule that you hear all the time is to anybody that's working for you, you got to make them happy so they can do what you want.
And they always in your pockets. Let me tell you that. Like they'll see the invoice and say, "Oh yeah, you making money, boss. Can I get extra $100 this week?" They're like,
oh God, I wish $100 would be a cheap date. $100 would be a cheap date. I mean, we get around here where it's kind of funny. It's like everybody starts getting cranky around March because they're trying to get their raises in before summer hits.
How often you do your raises?
I'm sorry?
How often you do raises?
We do about once a year, typically once a year.
We were doing December
going into summer.
Oh, okay. You do them before you go into the summer.
Oh yeah. Because we want them motivated and not, but what needs to be done rather than what's being done is the reviews need to be done at a regular time. Not that way you don't have the employee getting the attitude to create the review.
Gotcha. No, March is no, that makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to keep them through the winter.
Yeah.
Because they're expecting that, hey, they're going to get a raise right before the busy season starts.
Well, that's where they're using that as leverage.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're using that as leverage. And what we also do as far as through winter goes is we always give out really, really good Christmas bonuses so everybody hangs out there for Christmas. Always.
Hmm.
That's
So,
one.
I know Phil. I know you said you was just getting into, I guess maybe working on the yearly raises or however you were doing it.
Yeah, I'm not real sure, to be honest. Melissa's been kind of that's her deal. I just kind of heard about it. So that would be we discussed it, far as unfortunately, man, what I've learned in this industry or in all industries, some people are just not, I don't want to say capable, but some people just don't want the promotion of like a sales position. You're only going to make so much money in the truck. People are
Hmm.
only going to be able to pay you so much money, especially, like for us doing locals, there's only so much I can pay you by the hour until you're maxed out. I mean, and realistic, um, we've tried to promote within on a couple of our employees but some just don't want it. They don't even want to do the bill of lading with the customer, more or less talk to a customer that's angry, or more or less talk to a customer that's calling to get a quote.
Hmm.
So but you know I think it's going to be better. All my guys have been talking about it because it goes off of their performance, because I've got some guys that's maxed out right now, and it kind of goes off of their performance on how they're getting their raise,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that max out. Like, is there a way, one, for people not to max out as a mover or a driver, and could we kind of adjust for that with our profit margins versus maxing them out and now they get because some people just don't they don't they're not office people. They're
No.
people that want to work with their hands, and that's just what it is. So
Yep.
do we want to cap them off to just say, well, hey, you're a mover. The most you're going to ever make is $20 an hour. We just can't afford to pay you more than $20 an hour. And maybe you come in and you start in at 17. You know, do we or do that mover who's been there for 9 years eventually get paid higher than a damn driver that's been there for like 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have to, I tell you, one of the things you don't want to be hitting them in the head with is telling them they're maxed out. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna create a ceiling of that's as far as they're gonna want to go. Okay. I mean that's what I think. I mean the other thing, I mean, uh, in an ideal world, okay, I'd like to be able to raise the money you're charging the customer to, like I say, help the guys on the trucks out. The sad part, that's in a world that's got competition, that's not a reality. So what you also have to be doing in that situation is there something else the mover might want instead of money? When I'm saying recognition or, perks or something like that, don't see if there's something else that can motivate them, because a lot of times, I mean everybody's motivated by money, but a lot of other times there might be something that he's looking for, and in a conversation with him you might find that out, you might be able to give it to him.
Mhm. Yeah, we used to do competitions amongst our guys where every month we would do like 5-star review competitions.
There you
And
go.
it was like a little cheesy type of competition because, we knew that it didn't have like great value to it, but it had competitive value. Like,
Yeah.
okay, who can get the most 5-star reviews? And we had like small targets, but if you got 6+ 5-star reviews, you would get like 8 hours of additional pay in your next check. You also can have the opportunity of getting 2 free movie tickets, a 30-minute massage at the massage parlor that we had, connections with, a $25 gift card, and there was probably one other perk. So you have the opportunity if you got X amount of reviews, they all qualify for something. But if you got 6+ reviews, you qualify for 2 things. And you get recognition as being the employee of the month.
Yeah.
So we would post your picture in the office. We would say you're the employee of the month. you got X amount of reviews, you got your 8 hours of additional pay in your next check, plus you got 2 movie tickets. Take you and your spouse to the movie. And the guys loved it because it's like, oh, well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get more 5-star reviews than you. And oh, I want, I could use that extra $25 gift card plus the 8 hours of additional pay. I'm making money this week,
Yeah. 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 So were
So
you running that? Were you running that every week, or were you running that every month, or what?
every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
you
know
guys
we have
like-
a bonus program where what we do is after each move, we do callbacks.
Mhm.
Basically, my admin, she'll basically go, hey, from a one to 5 scale, how would you rate us? And if it was 5, we just kick them back another $1 an hour, each guy that was on that crew.
Gotcha. Nice, nice. What you were saying, Phil, real quick, before you forget your mind?
Yeah, I know, right? Would you guys like to hear kind of the what we're doing from Melissa?
Sure. Hop on,
Okay,
Melissa.
she's not gonna come on camera before she ain't got her face on.
That's
man.
scary.
Yeah. Hold on, guys. I mean, she can explain it a little bit more than I can. But we're gonna be talking.
We're gonna call it the Phil and Melissa collaboration.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So we've been noticing that once we give our yearly raise, the guys are great for like the first 3-4 months. And then after that, you get the downward slope of whatever. And that's when we start seeing damage going up, lateness, everything kind of just blah. So and it was actually somebody on the show had the recommendation. So what we're going to do is every 3 months, we're going to do one-on-ones with all the movers, and evaluate their, I guess, initiative, teamwork, damage, their reviews, and everything goes into account. And then what raise that they would typically get, whatever hours they worked for that time period, we will calculate and give them a bonus.
Okay, a bonus. Okay. Versus
So-
a raise. Makes sense.
Because and I'm sure Philip has said it once before, that he is a very generous guy. Like, I've worked in HR a lot. So we know how the raises go. You give, increments of raises. Philip's quick to give $1, $2 raise out, and you're like, yeah, you can't do that because you got to be able to give them something a little bit later. So we have some guys that we feel that we're paying this high dollar amount, like almost like a supervisor pay, but they're not performing at that level anymore.
Mhm.
So what we've done is every 3 months, we will go through and do, the bonus, but their pay rate stays the same as what it's been. But we just give them that bonus at the end based on their performance. Then at the end of the year, we evaluate all of those evaluations through the year and determine what their next year's pay rate will be.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think long as it's trackable and it's something that you can keep up with, with everything going on. I think one of the things we didn't do was quarterly assessments because it was something that we knew we wouldn't be consistent with everything going on. But the end of the year raise, where we said by December 15th, we would give somebody a raise. Okay, hey, we know by November 15th, we need to start getting these performance reviews in, start working on them.
So there's this awesome site, and it's free, that you can use to a certain extent. Like, there's always the paid portions of it as well. It's called Office Vibe.
Office Vibe. Okay.
And you set it up to keep your reminders. It also sends out emails to the guys, to all your employees, to do their self-evaluations, as well as evaluating your supervisors. And if they want to make a comment of what you can do better or what's not working, it's anonymous. So we get them, we can read them and say, okay, this is what we need to work on as owner supervisors. And vice versa. So
Nice. Yeah, you guys wrote that down, office vibe, because I'm gonna have to check that out.
it's a really neat site. I mean, there are paid options where you can do a little bit more, but if you're just looking for something to track your evaluations, they give you, they're called one-on-one emails. We used to use them I used to work in the doctor's offices. So we used to send them out to hundreds of employees at one time. So it made it so much easier. So it gives them, even if you want to give initiative of someone that did a great job today, you can send like a little, blurb email out to that person of doing a great job, or you went above and beyond. It's just something that you can just click of a button and you can type a quick message and it sends it out to them.
Nice. No, that's awesome.
On
Technology is a thing. You definitely got to get on top of it. Last night, a friend of mine told me about a credit builder app, and I was like, I've always felt like I knew what I was doing when it came to like credit building, and it was one of the things where you can keep track of your rent. So anytime if you're a renter and you're paying rent, you can actually put that on there, and it can actually raise your credit score by a certain amount by tracking your rental payments. And I always heard about it. I heard about it when I was in Florida last year from my landlord, but I thought it was like a process, because I'm like, oh, when do they ever track your rent for credit, credit raising? But
you can do it through Experian for your electric, your phone bill, all of that. If you go on Experian Boost, you can everything.
That's see, you learn something new every day.
There you go.
Oh, someone just walked away.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get that 850 credit score. I don't know if I'm gonna get there, but I'm gonna work on it. Because
the next
I think
Chime commercial.
Yeah, I think your credit score, speaks a lot of volume. Even though I've always felt like cash is king. Having a great credit score, you go into a car dealer and you're like, well, hey, I want to get this car. I want to finance this car. And the guy was like, well, we're going to have to pull your credit, right? Yeah, no, that's no problem. He's like, what is your credit score? Oh, my credit score is 775, just making up a number. And he's like, oh, don't even worry about it. We're not even going to do a hard pull. We're not even going to touch your credit. 775, 2% interest rate? Yeah, all right. You're good to go. Coming in with that 500 credit score, 20% interest rate? Yeah. We're going to pull your credit. We can't hurt you no more.
Heck, in this day and thing, you got to have your credit all closed off because people going in and out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do, because we actually had identity theft about 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, and basically kept my wife busy every morning for 3 months. Every morning we'd have three credit cards or something like that popping up that people were trying to get against our credit. So what you do is you just lock it off so nobody can do that.
Yeah,
we actually had a customer, her closing got delayed by a week because her title company's computer system got hacked.
Yep. Oh, that we had that happen about 3 weeks ago too. We had
a
$16 million house.
Yeah, she was like freaking out.
Yeah, the one finance company we were going to use, I know that they pulled did soft pulls for people's credit to see if they was worth financing. Which makes sense, I know that the debt collection company that we were using to go after our receivables, even though we didn't have very many receivables, they didn't go off of the social. Obviously, you can't go off the social in that case. But I was always concerned, well, hey, if you're a debt collector and you're collecting moving debt, how are you, what are you going to just keep annoying the person to, pay me? If you ain't got no social, you can't do no damage to them. I'm like, man, anytime I see this 339 number, I'm blocking it. But yeah, Cliff, what's been going on with you, Mr. Quiet Man, working out?
Man, life's treating me well, guys. Life's treating me well. Learning a lot, going through the process, just listening to all the wisdom right now. But I'll tell you, the craziest thing when it comes to doing right by the people, the one thing that I've learned is the questions that I ask. If I ask better questions, I get better results every single time. And I ultimately go like, oh, wait a minute. People are smarter than we think they are. They're just smart enough for their own intentions, not your intentions. They're not waking up saying, how can I make such and such lives better today? They're waking up saying, how can I make my life better today?
Yep.
And when we ask the right questions, we figure out how to make their life better.
Gotcha. Okay. See, Cliffy's saying some mystery stuff, and you just be like, where's he going with this?
I know, right?
Turns the light back on. No longer in the dark. It's kind of like the lights just shining over his last comment.
Right. Nah, but yeah, no, this is gonna. I know some people are already starting out this year in a crap state because obviously they're still coming from last year, but obviously we don't. Going back to the housing market real quick, if I lose my train of thought with that, I know that like the FHA loan, one of my brother-in-law who actually got a house, I think he said the FHA loan now is up to like 7%, and I know a bunch of people probably stopped doing postcards at this point. Whether it's working or it's not working because of the housing market, or people taking forever to close on houses, or people still not buying houses, whatever the case is. So I think it's just, a lot of my potential clients are all like looking for more leads. And I could say, the 10 years I've been in business, leads wasn't really a major factor. Because I feel like even though these lead providers aren't good, especially if they're not, obviously in Florida, the lead providers suck. And I think it's just because the competition is just too much out there, and with people just charging all types of prices and coming out of the woodworks, regulations is just not tight whatsoever out there. The leads have to suck because it's not going to, like in New York, the leads might be going to 3 competitors. In Florida, 5 or 6, maybe more.
Yeah.
I just had a light bulb moment, and I want to share it. So you're 100% right. Like one problem I saw in the industry consistently is when you get a lead, like 8 other companies get the lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to thinking like, okay, these people are probably being bombarded with movers calling them, pestering them. And then I'm thinking like, what if someone came up with the tagline, we don't just move you once, we move you for life? And then people will be like, well, what does that mean? I go, okay, you're probably getting a ton of freaking calls from a ton of movers, right? And yeah, it's a headache. I've talked to 4 of them so far. Yeah, I totally get that. What we do is we know we're not here just to move you one time, because unfortunately, most moving companies, they're going to move you once, and they're going to probably give you either average or maybe good service. We don't know. But what we want to do is not only move you into your new home, we want that home, you're probably going to stay there for at least 7 years. So we want to make sure you're taken care of when you're moving in your new home. And we have a community of resources. Now, of course, you have to do this if you're local. Long distance is going to be quite a bit difficult. But you start gathering the community of businesses, and you create packages for the people that you move.
Like gift baskets or stuff like that, right?
Yeah. And on top of it, you show how you're different from all the other competition because you're going to take care of them. They are a customer for life. And so you're very, very intentional with the people that you bring on. So you actually change the positioning for them to go like, oh my goodness, I really want to work with these guys, instead of, well, I know such and such over here who will do it for $65 an hour. Great. Go take them.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. And I think you're on to something. And that's why I like these conversations, because it's like collaboration of brains, where it's like you can do something like that. But I feel like if you can really expand on that a little bit, where there's other referral partners that like, oh, well, hey, if you set your client up with cable or, internet service or security services, we'll give you a kickback. You don't have to set it up. You just have to refer it.
Yeah. I mean, what you can do, or what I do when I am in somebody's house, Because that's one of the things out here I'm really strong with is I'm really thoroughly networked. I do a lot of network marketing. And what I do is I tell the people before they go to Google, if they need something, come to me, because I'm going to be able to find them a better referral than what they're going to grab right off of Google. And
Amen.
because then what that does is it gives you added service, gives you added value. Now they're dealing with somebody that knows somebody rather than just to somebody that's just answering at a call center.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think I was big on that as well.
The biggest thing, what I'm looking at is when we get really, really intentional with who we want in our lives. Like, who do we want in our lives? And how do we, because everyone that has a problem fixed is going to need a new problem fixed. That's the beauty of the game. When I started, I'm like, wait a minute. A business just has to do the right legwork. And the right legwork is, who is the customer I want to work for?
Right. Your customer avatar, which if you haven't been doing, you should be creating already. I mean, I'm part of a group out here. It was really kind of funny. I got dragged into it, not dragged into it. It's a good thing. It's called the Maiden Community, and I got dragged into it by one of my realtors that basically refers me to everybody, and it's opened up a whole new world. I mean, we've been involved in it for about a year and a half, but those people don't tend to shop outside of that little community. They're going to go to that community first because you're being presented as a trusted, as part of the community. So
that makes a lot of sense. I was gonna say, dang, yeah, man, maybe lose my train of thought. Y'all talking about this good stuff. But no, yeah, I think if we could think outside of moving services and just think that, hey, we're a one-off service because, hey, it is what it is. Like you said, Cliff, people don't move for like 7 years.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be the case, then basically we need to build that relationship. There's been plenty of people who called and they said, oh, well, I'm moving from New York City back up to Albany or whatever case is, but we originate in Albany. So it doesn't make sense for us to come all the way down to New York City, pick you up and bring you back up here and charge you a deadhead fee because we don't have anything going down that way. So, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, hey, that doesn't make sense. Let me give you a better option. Let me be of service to you. Let me help you find a house or apartment if you're looking for a house or apartment free of charge. Just visit my website. Here's some links. I'll email them right after that call. Here's some links. As soon as you find an apartment, just call, reach back out to us if you want us to service you, and we'll service you or whatever the case is. And you do the stuff that others won't do.
100%. Yeah. And then even with Ted saying we find our avatar, I started seeing, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is fitness all over again. Sometimes you have to do the things you don't want to do to become the thing you want to become. And if you're looking at an avatar, if you're understanding their pain points, if you're like, that takes energy. It is not a one-time like, oh, this is my avatar. These are their pain points. This is what they hate. This is what they love. Like, no, you have to dive deep. And in that deep dive, like, you change your life forever. But instead, people like, no, I'm just going to move whoever's going to move. And people are people. And no, people are not just people. No, they're not. Phil's not just a person. You're not just a person, Dwyght. Ted's not. You guys are amazing dudes. And here's what's interesting. You didn't just become that way. It was the work you put in. It was the energy you put in. It was the core values you had. It was the mission you put together. And I started saying, I'm like, oh my goodness, this game really is so simple, but wow, is it complicated to the mind? Because the mind wants to give every reason to why it has to do what it knows, because that's what the brain does. Well, this is what I know, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try something different for like half a month, and then when it doesn't work, I'm going to go back to the same thing.
Yeah, I think once you know it, and to go against what you know, for me at least, is very challenging. So if you know that, hey, you know what, you need to be doing this to be in compliance with the state. You need to be doing this. To go to go against it and just say, you know what, I'm not going to do that, whatever the case is. For me, is like, you're a ticking time bomb from getting that $10,000 fee.
Don't get on the wrong guy's list.
So
Louis
Arnold Schwarzenegger says, break the rules, but don't break the law. very compliant on that. He says, break the rules, don't break the law.
Yeah.
Hey Ted, do you guys have a tariff out there in California, correct?
Yes,
Is
and
it?
it's set by the, well, it's no longer the PEC, it's the Household Goods Division. We got, the PEC ran everything for I think 105 years, and we got rid of them about 5 years ago. Each year they basically give us the tariff. So in other words, in January I got a new tariff, and then they allow us to discount from that tariff. Okay, so you're not having to do your own tariff. It's set by the state of California.
Ooh, that
Huh.
sucks.
But what happens out here is some of these idiots out here will discount 50%.
Mm.
Standard is almost 40%, and it's like, nah.
What's
You
your
gotta,
max?
you gotta
What's
make
the
it
max?
worth your while.
See, we don't even have any of that out here.
In
Out
Florida,
here in Florida.
you guys don't have a tariff?
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing,
Really?
man. No. Not
That's
for
why I
local.
said it's
And
unregulated.
it's screwed up. And it's screwed up, man, because you get a client, we're not the cheapest in town, we're not the most expensive either, but I mean, we're still hearing, oh well, I just got it, or seeing advertisement for guys advertising for $60 an hour. Like,
How are you gonna run a truck for that? That's not even enough money to put the gas in the truck.
right. So there's a guy, and I kind of researched his company a little bit, and I'm like, man, he had a license, he had the insurance. So I'm like, how is he charging $100 an hour, right? So we did a kind of a cold call on him. We all do it, and he nickel and dimed the customer all the way
Yeah.
till he got to where he needed to get. And once you broke it down, the ending number, I was in the car business for several years. So of course it's a
So
numbers game. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So he nickel and dime the customer all the way till he got back to where he was about 150, 160 an hour. But he was very transparent on when he was talking to us about what he thought we was customer, but talking about his charges. He charged a crazy amount of money, $80 for a mattress bag. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of money. And we won't move it without it. TV box, $100 to use. And I mean, he just nickel and dimed, but it was in his contract. He told you on the phone, and the guy still booked jobs, and he had as far as online, other than just not showing up several times, no complaints about it. So it's like, man, but.
Can you imagine having to do that with every job you service?
Oh my gosh.
I get twisted if I have to get on the phone at the end of a job and have to reclose it because the customer's disputing the bill. It's like, hey, you think I'm going to do this 400 times a year?
Right, man. I mean,
I don't have time for that. It's like, I mean, with me, and I see a lot of this out here, a lot of complicated pricing. Well, and I've been running into it a lot with customers. And they say, well, this guy does this way. It's like, no, it's by the hour. After 8 hours, it's overtime. We charge to get to you, do the job, get back to base, make it simple so they can figure it out.
I think that's even challenging. We had the opportunity with our tariff. Now, we don't have a max rate tariff. We don't have any of that in New York State, but we do have a tariff. And the tariff states that you have to report your rates to the state. So, if there's ever any dispute, and likelihood, if there's a dispute that goes to DOT can pull up your tariff and say, oh, no, he's within right. He was charging what he would need to charge.
You guys have to publish your tariff, correct?
Yeah, we have to publish the tariff, but we can keep the same tariff for if we wanted to keep it for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, we can keep the same tariff if we charge the same rates. It's just anytime we want to change our rates by $1 or whatever the case is, we got to file a tariff that takes 30 days to go into effect. So,
see, like out here, I'm looking at the tariff right now for the hourly charge. And down here where we are, what's that? What is that? Okay, hang on here. Straight time. They're saying 2 people driving a helper, $222.45 an hour. And I can tell you right now, there's not a whole lot of people getting $222.45 an hour for 2 guys in a truck.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, I mean, typically out here we're like around 170. So
But that gives you your range, at least. You know, that gives you the opportunity to be able to say, okay, that's the max I can charge, which is fine because who the hell is charging 222 an hour for 2 men? You know, but at least it gives you that ceiling where it's like, okay, you know what, this is what they
well,
deem to be
the
reasonable.
other thing too is you go up to the customer and you show them this if you have to. Say, hey, this is where we should be.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
That's a
think
good that's a good thing though. You know, I wish we had something like that here. You know, sorry to cut you off, Dwight.
no, you're good. Do they have a minimum threshold?
No, they don't. They used to. They used to, but they don't. And that was when I say used to, I'm talking 30 years ago. I remember that because when I was working for Beacons, God, when I first started for them, the minimum was I want to say 52.50 for two guys in a truck.
Mhm.
And that and the good and the bad with it, that's where everybody started.
So I guess explain the since you can't charge a normal fuel surcharge or like a travel fee, and you have to do double time out there in Cali. Kind of like elaborate how that works.
Well, we're supposed to be doing double drive. Okay. So in other words, it's the drive between point A and point B added to the move. All right. You can put on a fuel fee, but you call it a truck fee instead of a fuel fee legally. Okay. So you basically, you know, and also too, I hate to say it, but it's the way you sell it. You know, it's the way you sell it. A lot of times the double drive is real comfortable to a port situation. You know, my goal is to get me paid what I'm paying the guys on the truck. I don't want them driving around for an hour and a half, and we're not collecting any revenue.
Yeah. Well, that
You
sucks
know,
because you don't collect anything getting to the origin, and you don't collect anything coming back from the destination.
but that's supposed to. The goal is to recover that in the double drive.
Yeah, but if they're
But
not that far apart from each other, it's just like,
but again, it's how you sell it.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Again,
see what he's saying.
it's how you sell it. You know, you go, hey, look, you know, we're port to port. We start when we leave the warehouse. We start when we get back. Getting to and from you is part of the job, just like double drive.
Okay, and that's considered like your truck fee.
Yeah, and then we got our fuel on top of that. So you know, I mean, it's like I say, you want to. God, what are people texting me at frickin' 6:45 in the morning? I actually had a guy that texted me about an hour ago.
The call outs, the
No,
ones that
no,
like,
no, no. The call outs are at 2 a.m., man. When
oh,
the bars close. Let's see who this was. This is a
so
sorry,
Sounds
new
legit.
quote. It's a new quote. Somebody wants a quote at 6:45. Who do you
oh,
think just
nice.
decided to move today?
Oh yeah, those last ones, last minute people.
They actually called it you and got a quote, but the people they went with didn't show up.
Well, it goes on out here, and I don't know if it goes on out there. Is if you guys get somebody that's got like a really strong internet pay-per-click presence,
Hmm.
they're doing that, but they may only have the ability to do 3 jobs, 4 jobs, 5 jobs a month or a day.
Hmm.
And so what they'll do is they'll book 10 jobs and they'll cherry pick the highest paying jobs and drop the other people on their head.
Oh, that's
That's
not uncommon.
that's what that call is right there, more than likely.
That's
That's
Oh
that,
yeah.
my movers called up, said their truck broke down.
yeah, that's not uncommon at all. Especially those that don't take a deposit.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know in Florida they were big for that. Like did a lot of shopping around in Florida when I lived there to see what prices were looking like. And I just couldn't believe, well, I could believe it, but I didn't believe it. It was just like people were just quoting minimums. Hey, we're 125 plus a fuel surcharge, 2 hour minimum. Um, don't really tell you how many guys they're gonna probably bring. Don't ask you for what your inventory is, and just
yeah,
say, hey, does that work for you?
yeah. That out here, even with a phone estimate, we're supposed to provide an estimate to them. How much it's going to cost door to door. That is one of the bad things about our regulations out here. And if something happens in the middle of the move, I mean, if, for instance, we had one, God, it was a year ago in January. I was actually at one of Lewis's conferences, and the people called up and they wanted an estimate for a pack and move, and the pack was supposed to happen the next day. I sent my sales guy in there, and he went through and did an estimate, and they were kind of picking what was going to go. And then when the moving and the pack crew got in, there was a full clean out. We thought the customer was friendly, but made the mistake. They turned around when they said, "Yeah, don't worry, everything's covered." They, said, "No, we're just going to pay for what the estimate was."
Wow.
Wow.
And so out here, what happens is whenever something changes, and it's one of the things I hate, is you're supposed to stop the job and get a change order signed. Just okay. You want us to keep going? You sign this piece of paper, we will. Otherwise, screw you. And it puts you in an adversary position. One of the things that I try to teach my guys to do is, be friends with the customer. You don't want to get in that position because it's going to be hard to get the bill. It's going to be, they're going to be looking for claims. They're going to be looking for every way they can get back into your wallet.
Yeah, that's why we were using Live Switch, and we would have the customer record their home, so that basically we got a real clear view of exactly what they had in each room, etc. And maybe it gives us an idea of how many materials or boxes or what type of box kit we want to bring for their house. But at least on move day, we can kind of see if this person is a hoarder. Hey, they're a hoarder. You could kind of know how you need to move. So Live Switch definitely was a game changer.
Yeah, I've been paying for Live Switch, and I'm still having trouble getting it to work. I've tried it 3 or 4 times, and I can't get this sucker to click on for some reason. And I tried to do it with about 3 customers, and it still has. I got to go back to them and go, hey, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Yeah, because I don't know, we didn't have any issues with it. We just send them the link. Like, we didn't do very many virtual meetings and stuff like that with the customer, but we just sent them the link so they can record their home and just send it back to us. And it worked wonders. We anytime there was a 2 or 3 bedroom move or higher, it was automatic that my sales team sent that person a Live Switch video, even though maybe they go over the inventory with them on that call.
Yeah. If you're up, anything over 2, 3 bedrooms, and what we deal with out here, I don't know about New York and Florida. I can only imagine is we have a lot of apartments and condo situations out here that you need to find out what the access is, otherwise you can get burned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just it's a situation of your salesperson asking the right questions.
yeah, there was a place in Albany where I drove to the customer house to drop off some boxes for them to start their packing early. And I was just driving with my SUV, and the street was so tight from side to side. And I could barely get down with my SUV. And I'm like, and they were right in the corner, like a corner cabinet. It was right in the corner of the block. And they were just like, and I'm just like, how is a truck supposed to make it down here? And they was like, go ahead.
We've got them down. We've got them here, even in California. You don't think of that in LA, but we've got them down here where you have, you have your 4-lane streets, and then you have your 3-lane streets. And with the 3-lane streets, there's parking. So if one car wants to go by the other, the only way it can do it is pull off the road so the other can pass.
Yep. No, that makes sense. But yeah, this street was so tight that ultimately what we had to do was we had to go around the block some way.
Yep.
And then basically
Back in.
drive on like a sub street, turn right, and then basically back our truck up to the corner of where that customer was.
That's why I don't like moving in downtown LA.
So yeah, it was crazy. I'm so fearful, especially of the low bridges. Like, they just still have on our news every so often. I get a news report on my phone saying, oh, someone bites the dust again, hitting this low bridge that's been 10 feet. And it's just like, how is people still hitting that same bridge that's 10 feet? But I think I've been down that road, and it's no way you can back up per se once you start going down it.
Really?
So some
we
people
we got a nose cone to replace next week.
Oh boy.
Or a corner.
A corner cap?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are never fun. And in my market, I think they're like almost $1,000 easily.
Yeah, I got a quote of about 800.
Yeah.
It's like how come it's like, when you guys are backing the trucks up, if you're up in a situation, you should have every guy out looking at every corner of the damn truck, not just going for it. But it's
Bill,
not their truck.
Bill, you have that issue? Your corner cap getting hit?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, tree limbs.
Yeah, exactly.
I've hit one. Honestly, dude, I've hit one. I tell you, man, I bought this truck, man, and this was back when we first started, and it's areas, Carrollwood area, and I seen the sign and not really thinking, man, this truck is huge, man, and man, as I'm driving, I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and I just see not power lines, but cable lines.
Scary.
That's many years ago, but I actually hit a corner and over in that same area, man. And I actually, man, let me tell you, man, in my younger day, I tried to change one of those out. And let me tell you, man, it's a pain in the ass, man.
And that's
I
why they charge so much.
cussed and, just not having the right equipment, dude. They got the catwalk set up. I mean, I'm hanging off of a ladder, I got this. And man, I couldn't get the rivets to go in right because I couldn't, kind of brace myself to push it down. So I made it look nice, of course. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So, man, I ended up putting about that much caulking in. Hey, man, where's my camera? About that much. So I had to go to the other side and put that much in there so it looked uniform. Like, man. But once I broke it.
And then when the first rain you probably found out,
It did, yeah. So as I was putting the rivet in, I ended up cracking the new corner cap. And it was like it was a little hairline crack. So I had to take and put, my favorite JB Weld bond in it. Hey, I say that because, man, my wife, that's my go-to for a lot of things, bro.
You didn't.
My wife was like, why you always talk about JB Weld bond? I'm like, it worked.
But no, that was crazy. Yeah, I think that's the most money maker that these truck companies be getting off of you, like, because it's most cases it's made out of plastic, and I guess it's meant to give. Because if it was,
oh yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't rip into the body.
Yeah, and it still sometimes end up doing body damage.
Yeah.
Not enough to where, like, we got one that it has metal. I mean, if it hits something, it's going to do a lot of body damage.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can weigh out the options on $700-800 bill or body damage, where you're going to start getting into thousands of dollars.
So what's your guys' policy on, these guys taking your trucks to like get lunch?
What do you mean taking it to get
So
lunch?
like, they go like, so my guys used to, in between the jobs, in between the load up and the unload, they'll probably go and have lunch, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's just like some people have a policy where they're like, oh no, we're not gonna have you driving to like McDonald's and doing all that extra stuff.
They're as far as it goes with me, is they're grabbing a bite while they're on the road or at lunch or something. They're welcome to do that.
Because I had one crew, which obviously I had to fire the guy the same day. He was non-apologetic about it at all. Like, he went through the McDonald's and for some reason got way too darn close to the overhang and tore the side of the truck up badly. Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't a claim where McDonald's was mad that they received damage, but but the truck was horribly damaged. And only thing the person could say is, yeah, I just turned it a little too tight, and it's just like McDonald's is a wide open area. So for you to just mess up a truck,
you shouldn't be pulling into anything. You should be getting out of the truck and walking in.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they did, but that type of body damage cost an arm and a leg to fix.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, we don't allow it for several reasons. We've had we used to customers complaining. Now it's a fight of how long did they stop? How oh my gosh, and we actually end up getting not a bad review almost. I had to end up discounting the move. The guy said they only stopped for 10 minutes. She said it was like 2 hours.
What?
So, I'm like, you know what? Bring yourself something to eat. Because we provide water and whatever we're providing on the truck for the guys, of course. But you're yesterday I had to take off on the last minute and go on a job. Guess what I had? My lunch. Right? And I had one of my guys that was there. I mean, as I'm eating, he's looking at me. I'm like, you didn't bring no food. Had a big old lunchbox with cigarettes in it. I'm like, I guess you're eating cigarettes. You take, and you know what, dude, it's all about being responsible, man. We are grown men, and I come from my grandfather raised me, man. He's 94 years old now, and that man raised me to be old school, right? Ain't no handouts, and we ain't raised no, like you fend for your own, And if it's long distance, man, I'm not saying that we're like that. If they're traveling like 2 or 3 hours or something like that, yeah, flat rated job, but don't be stopping on the customer's dime and trying to manipulate, because once again, guess what they're going to say? Oh, well, you're going to take that out of my check, right?
So the one thing that I believe Move It Pro has, sorry, Cliff, the one thing that Move It Pro has is a way where you can clock out, have the customer initial that you clocked out at this time, and then when you clock back in, have them initial that you clock back in at this time, and clock back out for the final billing. So you can break it up and Move It Pro so that basically customers can't say, oh, they were gone for this period of time, miss, or sir, you signed saying they clocked out at this time and they clocked back in at this time. That don't add up to 2 hours.
It's easier for me just to not even do it.
What are you going to say, Cliff?
I was going to say that, yeah, that's what Curtis does. He has a sign in and a sign out. So when they're that way, it's on contract and there's no complaints.
Yeah. So, yeah, because my guys are always like, yeah, we got to take a 45-minute break. And I've always felt like 45 minutes. Like, geez, like this is not a like a full-time legitimate job. It's, hey, you know what?
Tops.
Yeah, and especially if the job was only like meant to be a total of 4 hours, ain't no way in hell this customer should have to wait and like get their job done in 5 hours because you want to take a whole 45-minute full blown lunch break, sit down at the restaurant and really oh boss, we had ordered our food, we just waiting for it to come. The hell? Like
man, we had a crew that came and helped unload probably a couple of months ago. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. The guy got there like 20 minutes later. He was like, hey man, we're gonna end up going to get lunch.
It was 10 o'clock.
8 in the morning?
It was about 10 o'clock then. I'm like, well, we ain't got but an hour left to work. What do you mean? Oh, well, I forgot, my wife forgot to pack my lunch. I said, man, you leave, this is what you're getting paid. Goodbye.
Dude, we had
my wife forgot to pack my lunch.
A labor crew decided to call me to come out and do a move one day. I was like, you know what, I ain't got nothing going on. From an owner standpoint, I don't really have nothing going on, so I'll go out there and help you out to unload a truck. And it was a pretty beefy truck worth of stuff that had to be unloaded into this nice house. The customer comes and with pizza, and we all know the customers who buy the lunch for the crew. But we're in the process of unloading. And they're like, oh, well, the customer bought lunch. Let's stop, eat lunch, and then finish the job. What? No, I just want to get the job done. So I can, if maybe the pizza is still lukewarm at the point when I'm done, I'll grab it on the way. But I don't want to stop and, stop my flow, stop my motivation, and then basically just eat lunch, get full off pizza and wings, and then get back in the truck and continue to unload. No, it don't make no sense.
Yeah. Hey guys, I got to take off. I got another appointment coming up.
All right, brother, man.
All right. Pleasure as always, guys. Ted, great seeing you. Take care, guys.
Brother. So we are at the top of the hour, everyone. Wow, this episode went by fast.
It did.
And yeah, so definitely go out there, continue to crush it. Get look for lead providers, search around, look at your competition, see who their Google Garden is, who they're affiliated with on their Google Garden, and basically try to get more volume coming into your office. You're not going to book everything, but the more volume you can filter, the better for your company. Ted, you want to leave us with something?
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are, we went into a little bit of discussion about the postcards or what you said. What I want to say is, if you guys are using postcards, send them out the day you get them. Okay. We were waiting until we got enough to fill our indicia, which is 200 cards. We started sending them out every day. It's been a huge change, because you're getting to them before everybody else does. Okay.
Gotcha.
Whereas with that indicia, if you're waiting for that indicia to fill, you're going to be 3-4 days behind. We're coming in front of all these other postcards right now. We're getting quite a few calls.
Okay,
Good
nice.
deal.
What about yourself, Phil? Anything before we take off?
Keep your online present squeaky clean as much as possible. Especially a lot of guys are like starting to experience, was experiencing slow time during the summer, so I think a lot of guys, the online presentation became a little, but keep everything going, and now is a good time to look into other avenues of marketing. Like Ted said, I'm big on marketing in the community, and networking, and there's all type of avenues to do, for you to turn your business. If you're running a good business, if you're running a no good business, it is what it is. Right, Ted?
If you should stink, you might as well get out.
Exactly. Thank you.
I mean, did you guys happen to see the Facebook post that Tim Crump put up about advertising for $1 million company?
No, I didn't.
He was saying that if you got $1 million company, what you should be planning on using is 10%. 10% of that $1 million towards your advertising.
Makes sense.
Was really kind of interesting. I was with Tim in one of Lewis's flagships, and it was kind of great to see the breakdown of what you should expect to be spending if that's where you're trying to get to.
That's about 100,000 for y'all that don't know math. It's about 100,000.
$8,333 a month.
But it sounds insane, but it's not that hard to get to, especially once you get SEO in place, you get Google ads in place, Google guaranteed, you'll get up there real fast. So don't think that
I'm not that far away from what's going on with that already. So
So all right, everybody.
Time to go. You guys.
We'll catch y'all later, and we'll definitely have you back on again, Ted, in the future. So definitely don't be a stranger. And you guys have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Bye, guys.